Yeah, so question number 5 is clear by both the methods, the parallelogram law method or by the component algebra method, both. Okay. Sixth is clear, right? So we'll come to question 7. If anybody has a doubt in question 6, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm moving to question number 7. Acha, sixth also. Okay. Let's see sixth on the way to 7 then. Yeah, I'm discussing question 6 next. Then I'll come to 7. Just give me a minute. Yes, you have a doubt in question number 5. Okay. See, I've explained question 5 over here. Only by mistake, I've taken the vectors as A and B. Acha, that is only fifth. Oh, my mistake. This is question number 6. Okay, okay. My mistake. Okay. This is question number 6. I'll come back to question number 5. Okay. So question 6, jisko bhi doubt hai, it's clear, right? Okay. So 6 is clear to everybody, right? Okay. Now let's come back to question 5. Then we'll move on back to question 7, etc. Yes, Dia, I've got your messages for question 9, 10, etc. I'll come to that. But currently, let's go back to question 5. So it says vectors P and Q are 12 and 16 in magnitude, and the angle between them is obtuse. So question 5 says question P is 12 and Q is 16, and the angle theta is greater than 90, less than equal to 180 degrees. So what we saw last time, when this happens, cos theta is negative, no? It is less than 0, greater than equal to -1. So what we can say about mod P plus Q, it is less than root of P square plus Q square, but obviously it is always greater than the difference of their magnitudes. So the difference of 12 and 16 in magnitude is 4, and this hypotenuse by them is 20. Okay, so this is the information that we know about them. From this fact, from the fact that angle is obtuse, we now know this information. Okay. So now again, just check the options. Okay. Yeah. So fifth question is clear, people. So this is that triangle inequality. But which one? For theta being obtuse, not the general case. Okay. So that's where knowing the inequalities helps a lot. And like we discussed last time, one easy way to remember the inequalities is from this, this kind of diagram. So the moment you visualize that theta is obtuse, you can see that theta जैसी obtuse हो गया है, this diagonal compared to the 90-degree case, compared to this 90-degree case, this diagonal has got compressed. This diagonal has got compressed now. Okay, so if this was root of P square plus Q square, this is now less than root of P square plus Q square. Yeah, Kunal, what do you think? But option 3 can be, so C can be made from equation. Yeah, I mean, if you put it as 10, okay, then you will see that you will get some obtuse angle. Whereas if you put it as 20, you will see you'll get the angle as 90 degrees. Now, if you put it as 25, you'll get an acute angle. You'll get cos theta as positive. And if you put 2, then you will get cos theta is not possible. The cos theta will come out to be some negative value which is less than 2, less than -1. So that's not possible. So that way also you can do. You can put each of these in the equation, in the triangle law formula, and solve for cos theta. So you'll see only in the case of option C, cos theta will come out to be something between 0 and -1. In other cases, it will come out to be quantities different than that. So it's not possible. But the thing is, doing all that is too lengthy. Na? So we should immediately the moment we think of obtuse angle, we should picture this diagram. We should picture that it is a parallelogram where the angle between P and Q has become obtuse. So this sum P plus Q, this diagonal has become less than this kind of hypotenuse. So it has become less than root of P square plus Q square. So it has to be less than 20. And that's the efficient way of solving this question. Okay, let's come to question 7 next. So question 7 is saying if P and Q are at an angle of 150 and the resultant sum is perpendicular to P, then the ratio of the magnitudes is how much? So two ways of doing this. One is we can use triangle law. So if we use triangle law, or for that matter, even parallelogram law, we can understand it this way. If this is P, Q has to be in some direction like this because the angle is 150 degrees. So P अगर ऐसा है, Q has to be such that this angle is 150 degrees. Okay. And not only that, Q's magnitude has to be such that there's sum. तो यहाँ पे इनका sum क्या हो जाएगा? ये third side हो जाएगा. That should be perpendicular. So this should be a right angle triangle with that exterior angle. This is the resultant. That exterior angle is 150. So that means this angle is 30. So that means P and Q's ratio is what? Cos 30. Okay. So that is root 3 is to 2. P is to Q has to be that. And therefore also the resultant has to be such that is sine 30. So that is 1 is to 2. So P is to Q is to R. You can see will be root 3 is to 2 is to 1 like this. So whatever ratio you want to find out, you can find out this way. Okay. Another way of doing the question is you can use component algebra. Okay. So alternately, by component method, we can do like this. So suppose x-axis is along P. So therefore we can write the vector P as some Pi cap. So then Q is at 120 degrees to x-axis. Because now I'm taking this direction only as our x-axis. So Q as a vector will become minus root 3 by 2 Q I cap plus Q by 2 J cap because of that angle 120. So the resultant P plus Q, from here you will see it becomes P minus Q root 3 by 2 plus Q by 2 J cap. Now the condition on the resultant is that it should be perpendicular to P. So for the resultant to be perpendicular to P, okay, the resultant should be along y-axis because P is already along x-axis. So that means ये जो resultant का x component है वो कितना होना चाहिए? 0 होना चाहिए. So this x component should be 0 and there should be only y component. So if the resultant is along the y-axis, then this is what we want, that the resultant's x component should be 0. So P should be equal to Q root 3 by 2 or P is to Q should become root 3 is to 2. So this is also an elaborate way of doing the question, but as you can see here, this is unnecessary. It's much easier to just draw the right angle triangle and use the trigonometry of that rather than make it into components, put the condition of the components. This is unnecessarily lengthy. The easier method was the first method, which was the triangle based method. Okay, so anyhow, hope you understood both the methods. Okay, so 7 के बाद we are doing 9, is it? Yeah, I think the next question you people have asked for is question 9. 8th, nobody has a doubt, so it's fine. So next we will do 9th and then 12th. Okay, so next up, finish this and go to question number 9 and 12. Now go through these two questions, we'll discuss. So ninth question we can do by this method. We can write the two vectors given A and B in component form, and we can apply the condition that A plus B is becoming perpendicular to, I mean, it's becoming along the y-axis. So that resultant's x component should be again 0. So just like, I've done in this question, the second part, I've solved by component method. I've written P and Q in component form, added them, then put the condition for the resultant to be along the y-axis. Same thing you do in the ninth question also. Write the two vectors which are shown A and B in the diagram. Show them in the this thing. Yeah, we'll do 10th also then. We will, okay. So show the vectors A and B in component form in the ninth question, and then apply the condition that the resultant should be along the y-axis. Okay, so from the diagram shown, just write A and B in component form, where A's magnitude is unknown, B's magnitude is of course 10. Okay. So the diagram given to us in ninth question is like this, that with respect to our XY system, vector E is some unknown magnitude, but at an angle of 60 degrees. Right, so E is like this. It's got some unknown magnitude, but this angle is 60 degrees. So we have to find this. Whereas B के बारे में सारा information दिया है. Both the direction and magnitude are known. B is along the negative x axis. Okay. And the magnitude of B is 10. So vector B we can see is minus 10 I cap. We know about it completely. But what we can say about vector A? Vector A we can say some unknown A cos 60 I cap plus that same unknown magnitude into sine 60 j cap, or you can say that the vector is A by 2 I cap plus root 3 A by 2 j cap. Okay, so that is done. So now, given that the resultant, or in other words sum of A and B is along the y-axis. Okay. This should be along the y-axis. So now just calculate the resultant first. So add up these two vectors. So it is A by 2 minus 10 I cap plus A root 3 by 2 j cap. So this should be along the y-axis. So that means इसका जो x component है ये 0 होना चाहिए because this is along the y-axis. Okay, so A by 2 minus 10 should be 0. That means A's magnitude is 20. And that also means that the resultant is how much? It is, substitute this over here. Or the resultant is 10 root 3 j cap. Okay. And E's magnitude is 20. Or in other words, the vector E is 10 I cap plus 10 root 3 j cap. Yeah, you can do same thing ना, components में अगर break किया बेटा तो वही किया ना, we are expressing it in component form. Understood, Tej? Matlab, if you break it in components and show these components, that's the same thing as writing in I cap and J cap, no? It's one and the same thing. In the diagram you show this, that this component is E cos 60 and this component is E sin 60. That's one and the same thing. Okay, so that's question 9. Next we will come to question 10. 10 is again triangle law. The resultant of three things has to be 0. That means any one is the magnitude of the sum of the other two. Yash, how can you take it as x j cap? As some unknown quantity into j cap. But the same thing, you can do it like this, that you write the vector b as minus 10 I cap. The vector b a is unknown, but a plus b is along the y-axis. So let's say it is some unknown quantity x or y or whatever j cap. So now from this you can calculate. Okay. So the vector e will become, it will become x j cap minus of minus 10 I cap. So the vector e is some 10 I cap plus some x j cap. Okay. Now I can see that the angle is 60 degrees with respect to x-axis. So we can do it this way also. So x by 10 should be equal to tan 60. So x should become how much here? X should become 10 root 3. So that means back to this, the vector A is how much? It is 10 I cap plus 10 root 3 j cap. So its magnitude is how much? Its magnitude is 20. That's correct. You can do by this method also. So there are n number of methods. The one that nobody has talked about right now among you guys is how we can use geometry. Now let's see, we can use geometry also here. ना? अगर हम इसको geometry से करते हैं, let's see how that works out. So by parallelogram law, how will we deal with this? Let's see. Okay. So vector B is this along the negative x-axis. Just a minute. So it's 10 units along the negative x-axis. Vector A, its magnitude is not known, but its angle is 60 degrees from this side. This angle is 60 degrees. And this is the common origin from which we have drawn the parallelogram. So now let us complete, from which we are drawing the parallelogram. So now let's complete the parallelogram. So you draw one side parallel to A, okay, another side parallel to B. So this is the vertex, opposite vertex. So यहाँ पे sum कौन सा vector हो जाएगा? Sum will be this vector from the origin to the opposite side. That should be the sum. So I want that sum should be perpendicular to this. So I have to find that condition. I want that the resultant, I'm looking for that condition that the resultant is along the y-axis. And this is the x-axis. So the resultant of A plus B, okay, I want that this should be 90 degrees. So if this is 90 degrees, this is a right angle triangle where you can see that this whole angle 120 degrees. Okay. So that means this angle is how much? It is 30 degrees. And this angle is how much? It is 60 degrees. Okay. So now you can see that this side is also A in magnitude, same as this side. So 10 by A should be equal to cos 60. So that is half. So that means A is equal to how much? 20. So you can also do this question by this method. There's yet another method of doing this question. Which one was this now? Ninth, wasn't it? Ninth question. By this method also. All right, 10th question. You just use by that triangle inequality. Okay. So let's say A, B, and C are three displacements. Their sum is 0. So A plus B plus C is equal to 0. So suppose magnitude of C is the largest of the three. Okay. Then condition for A plus B plus C to be 0 is that C should be equal to minus A plus B. So mod C should be equal to mod A plus B. So C should be less than equal to the sum of their magnitudes. And obviously it will be greater than the difference. Okay. This is the condition. So now see, A, B, C are given to you in options. All the three vectors are given to you in options. So in option A, you can see 10, 12 और कितना है 15. So largest वाला कितना है 15 है. It is less than the sum of these two. The sum of these two is 27 and the difference is 2. So fine, this can be. Remember here you have to check out which of it cannot be. So the correct answer will be whichever when we cross out. Okay. So the second one is 865. So in 865 the largest one is 8 and it is less than the sum of 6 and 5, which is 11. So this is also possible. Then next option is 8618. Now see, in this the largest is 18 and the sum of these two is only 14. So this is not possible. This cannot fit this criterion. Okay. So it fails this criterion. Therefore, we cannot have A plus B plus C equal to 0 where their magnitudes are like this. And similarly, option D is again going to be a case where it is possible. Okay. No, we have to select the incorrect option. So the one which is crosses out cannot be, na, वही वाले को cross करना है. So C will become the answer over here. Here, this is the largest one. So this is also possible. So the answer will become which one? It will become C. The question is not asking which of them can be. It's asking which of them cannot be. Okay. So which of these cannot be? Okay. So this one cannot be ABC. Understood, Hitanshu beta? Yeah, Tej, tell me. Yes, Tej. C vector is minus of A plus B, no? Because A plus B plus C is 0. So magnitude of C is equal to magnitude of A plus B. This is the same thing we discussed in an earlier question also. So magnitude of C has to be less than equal to, C is the largest of the three. Magnitude of C is the largest of the three. Let's assume the three vectors A, B, C such that C is of the largest magnitude. Yeah, vector A plus vector B plus vector C is 0 vector, no? अरे null vector है बेटा वो. The sum of three vectors cannot be a number. It has to be a vector, no? So it's null vector. This one. This is the largest of the three. सबसे बड़ा है. So अगर 10, 12 and 15 लेते तो C कौन सा है? 15 है. अगर 8, 6, 5 लेते तो C कौन सा है? 8 है. Okay. So we are assuming that C is the one having the largest magnitude. Yeah, that is okay, Tanshu, don't worry. Might be some internet problems happening today. So all participants. Yeah, I mean, for checking this condition, that C should be less than the sum of A plus B, we should just take C to be the largest of the three. then it's easiest to check. सबसे बड़ा वाला अगर बाकी दोनों के सम से छोटा है, then that condition applies for the other three also. I mean the other two vectors also. So we don't have to individually check that A is less than B plus C, B is less than A plus C, and C is less than A plus B. Just check the largest vector of the three and see it should be less than equal to the sum of the other two. So it just checks the whole condition. Okay, moving on. Now, what are we doing next? This was 10th question. So I think after this, we are coming to the 12th question, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check. Yeah, 12th question. Okay, now 12th is again about some kind of triangle inequality. 12th is saying that A and B have magnitudes of 12 and 16, and their difference is greater than 20. So now 20, you'll notice is square root of A square plus B square. Na? If I take mod A as 12, mod B as 16, and given that mod of A minus B, I think, mod of A minus B is greater than 20. This is given to us. Now we can see that in this case, A square plus B squares, square root is only 20. So this statement now it implies this, that this is greater than root of A square plus B square. So that means it's an obtuse angle. Okay, theta is greater than 90, less than equal to 180 degrees. And the condition for that is when theta is obtuse, A plus B becomes less than A minus B, because A minus B is greater than root of A square plus B square, and A plus B is the smaller diagonal. Okay, because in this case what happens, cos theta is negative. Okay, so accordingly, just you can check here what will happen. So this thing, so in this case, A plus B will be less than 20. Be the shorter of the two diagonals. So this is directly again from the theorem. Okay, people, hope this is clear. Now 13th question is a bit of a monster problem. It's a bit lengthy. I'll explain to you how to do. So first of all, we have to understand the geometry of a regular hexagon properly. Okay, so hope you're finished with this question. Okay, just finish this up. So finish this and draw a regular hexagon, all of you, and we want to understand the geometry of a regular hexagon properly. So try to figure out all the angles and things of regular hexagon. Okay, so let us understand the question by first drawing a hexagon properly. Now, since we always take our horizontal axis to be x-axis, so we will be at an advantage if we draw our hexagon such that one of the sides is horizontal. So let's try that out. Okay. So you got something like this. I'll just finish drawing it, then you'll understand why I'm drawing it this way. No, this is also not. Just give me a second, guys. It's a little bit tricky. Easier to draw on pen and paper. See, the angles are a little difficult to estimate on this. But anyhow, yeah, this seems better. If I draw the sides as vectors, something a little bit like this. Yeah, so that's the thing. Now we can take the direction wherever we like. Now we can rotate it whatever way we want. So we are making the hexagon like this. Okay, so now the important thing about a regular hexagon is that because all the sides are equal, so this side is equal to this side is equal to this side. So what happens is they all subtend angles which are equal on this side. These angles are 360 degrees divided into 6 equal angles. So theta becomes 360 divided by 6 or 60 degrees. And then because theta is equal, then the next thing is these two sides are equal. So these two angles are equal. So suppose this angle and this angle are equal. Now 2 alpha plus theta is 180 degrees. So that shows you that alpha is also 60 degrees. Now it shows you that each of these are actually equilateral triangles. So if they're equilateral triangles, you can see that these are all 60-degree angles. Yeah, no, my internet connection is completely all right now. I'm monitoring it from my side. So audio, video, everything is clear. I'm recording it also. So in case it's not clear at your end because of connection issues, just see the recording later. Okay. All right. So अभी देखो इसको हमने ऐसा नेम कर दिया suppose A B C D E F like this. Okay. So now let us take this as our x-axis so that we can write everything in component form. It'll be easier that way. So you can see that the vector AB can be written as whatever this length is into I cap. The vector BC is now, this angle is going to be 60 because this is also 60. So BC is the same length but at 60 degrees. So that will become cos 60 is half. So L by 2 I cap, and sine 60 is root 3 by 2. So L root 3 by 2 J cap. Now similarly, when you see the vector CD, you'll realize that this angle will become 120. So it's at an angle of 120 with respect to the x-axis. So CD will become minus L by 2 I cap plus L root 3 by 2 J cap. And similarly, the vector DE, this one, now you can see that this total angle is 180 degrees. Nice. It's along the negative x-axis. So D is minus Li cap. So once you've written this, now you can check all the options. So in question 12, this is whichever. Yeah. No, sorry, question 13. So now just substitute this in all the options. And accordingly, you'll get your answer. Okay. So in option A, for example, we have to find AB plus BC plus CD plus DE. ये चारों का सम निकालना है. So you can see the x component will become L plus L by 2 minus L by 2 minus L. So x component will be 0. And y component will be 0 plus root 3 by 2 plus root 3 by 2 plus 0. So it will become L root 3 J cap. So you can see that this is L root 3 J cap. So you can see that this is perpendicular to AB because AB is along I cap. Okay. And its magnitude, mod of that whole thing, this resultant is R, let's say. So the magnitude of the resultant is L root 3. L is given to us 20 in the question. So that's an example how we can, yes. So that's an example of how we can check all the options. So A and B options are to do with this resultant. Similarly, option C is to do with AB plus BC plus CD. So A and B you can check from this resultant only. Okay. This resultant. Now C is a different thing. C is, let's say, some R1, which is actually AB plus BC plus CD. The fourth one is not there. So we have to add AB plus BC plus CD. So that you will see will become how much? AB plus this thing will give you Li cap. L plus L by 2 minus L by 2. So that will give you L. And J cap component will be 0 plus root 3 by 2 plus root 3 by 2. So plus L root 3 J cap. So from this you can see that the magnitude of this resultant will be 2L. Li cap. You know? So like that you can check this option. So that is 40. So this option is also becoming correct. This is correct. This is correct. And now you can check the option D, which has also got a difference. The vector D is AB minus BC plus CD. So let's see how we'll do this. So AB minus BC. So the X component will become L minus L by 2 plus CD's X component is minus L by 2. So this will become 0. And the Y component will become, this one is 0, minus this one is L root 3 by 2, and minus this one is again L root 3 by 2. Okay. So this is not going to be 0. This is going to be Li cap minus L root 3 j cap. You can see it is not a null vector. It should be. Wait. Something is wrong. This should be a null vector. Let me just check. Something wrong I've done. So EB minus BC. So that one is correct. And oh, sorry, this will be plus. So it will be a null vector. So you can see L minus L by 2 minus L by 2. So that's 0 I cap. And again, minus L root 3 by 2 plus L. So, okay. So it is a null vector. So this option is also correct. So this is an example where all 4 options are correct. Okay, so question 14 also you do in a similar way. Those who you have not got question 14 yet, draw a diagram, and in that diagram take your x-axis to be towards east and your y-axis to be towards north. Okay, and draw all the vectors and then convert to component form. Okay, that is I cap j cap notation. Convert all the vectors. So whatever vectors are given to you, p, q, r, sorry, convert them to component form. Okay, and solve. So you'll get it. You try it by this method. And question 15, anybody has a doubt? The last one. Okay, so 15, let me explain to you. Okay. So 15 also we will do by using geometry. So draw an XY system and in that draw the vector A specifically. So vector A मुझे क्या दिया हुआ है? It is given to me as I cap plus root 3 j cap, is it? Yeah. So since A is given as I cap plus root 3 j cap, you can see that magnitude of A is 2 and angle is 60 degrees with respect to x-axis. Tan inverse root 3. So the vector A is in my diagram something like this, let's say. इसका magnitude 2 और ये angle 60 degrees है. Okay. Now in the same diagram, I have to construct a vector B B is some unknown xi cap plus yj cap, which you have to find out, such that magnitude of B is 4 and B is perpendicular to A, but in the xy plane. Okay. So यहाँ पे B कैसा हो सकता है? One option is B can be like this. It could be perpendicular in this manner and इसका magnitude 4 है. So एक option है B अपने पास ऐसा हो सकता है. This angle is 90, so that means this angle is 30, or vector B is at 150 degrees with respect to positive x-axis. Okay, and magnitude of vector B is 4, so that means B's x component will become 4 cos 150, so that will become minus 2 root 3, and B's y component will be 4 sin 150, so that is plus 2. So this will be, x will be minus 2 root 3 and y will be 2. That's one option, but there is also another option. B can also be like this. Alternately, the vector B can also be in the fourth quadrant. It could be like this. ऐसा भी तो हो सकता है. So it could also be like this, where this angle is 30, because this whole thing is okay. So or B is at minus 30 degrees or 300 degrees with respect to positive x-axis. Okay. So in that case, B's x component will be 4 cos minus 30. So that will become positive of 2 root 3, and B's y component will be 4 sine minus 30. That will be minus 2. So in this case, xy are 2 root 3 and minus 2. So this is the other possibility. So there are two possible solutions. Sorry, 330. Yeah, correct. Thanks. That's correct. 330 hoga Kunal. Okay. So these are the two possible solution sets. Okay. Yeah, there's no problem. I'm waiting. Just make a note of this. So finish writing this down, then we'll discuss some more things about component algebra ahead. No, products will not be coming in the first test. Okay. Only up to component algebra will come in the test. Okay, next thing, you look at component representation of vectors in three-dimensional system. Yes, yes, all that will come. Parallelogram law, component algebra, all this will come. So let's understand a 3D Cartesian coordinate axis system. Yeah, today we have done application of all this only, na? Component algebra, matlab up to assignment 4, that is there. So X, Y, Z, just think of it up to assignment 4 like that, okay, in the coming test. X, Y, Z axes are, now pay attention here, this is very important, mutually perpendicular axes. So how to understand mutually perpendicular axis? So for that, just imagine a three-dimensional space, like whatever room you're sitting in, imagine that room, and you see a wall in front of you, ना आपके सामने एक दीवार है, so उस दीवार और floor का जो edge है, that you take as your x-axis. Now imagine you are sitting in that room, so the corner of the room that you see, which is in your front left-hand side, that take as the origin, and take this as your x-axis. Okay, so this is the edge that is straight in front of you. This is the edge of the floor and the wall which is in front of you. Imagine that is your x-axis. Okay, then there is one wall to your left hand side and one wall in front of you. उनका जो common edge है ना, जो left वाले corner से नीचे से ऊपर जा रहा है, that edge you think of as your y-axis. Okay, so this is actually three-dimensional. मतलब this angle, you have to imagine that this is a 90-degree angle. So the x and y axis are forming this kind of a plane, which is like a wall. This is the wall in front of you, which you are seeing. Okay, this is the wall in front of you, whereas this space below over here is the floor in which you are sitting. This is the floor. Okay, so this is the floor. This is the wall which is in front of you. Okay, now there's also a wall to the side of you. So that wall which is to the side of you and the floor, they are also forming an edge on the side. So that edge is your z-axis. So that is perpendicular to this. Okay. So the z-axis and the y-axis together, they are defining a plane, and that plane is the wall which is to your side. Okay. This is another side wall. So basically this side wall is nothing but the YZ plane. Okay, this wall is nothing but the XY plane, and the floor on which you are sitting, that is nothing but the XZ plane. So there, X is perpendicular to Y, Y is perpendicular to Z, and Z is perpendicular to X. This is what we mean by mutually perpendicular axis. X, Y, and Z. Okay, and also the planes XY plane, YZ plane, and XZ planes are mutually perpendicular. So that kind of system is what we call a three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system. So this is one way to visualize it. Right? This is a two-dimensional diagram, but we are just trying to visualize a three-dimensional space. Yes, Tej, K-cap will also come, we'll see soon. Okay. So just try and visualize this and note this down. Okay, so try and think like I've told you that this is the floor on which you're sitting. This is the wall which you're seeing in front of you, and this is the wall which you're seeing on your left hand side. So सामने वाले wall और floor का जो edge है ना, आपके सामने नीचे पे जो edge है, that is your x axis. Then आपके left hand side पे जो corner है, जो vertically ऊपर जा रहा है between the two walls, that edge which is on your left hand side corner, that is nothing but your y axis. So you can see that this edge and this corner edge, they are perpendicular to each other, so they are mutually perpendicular xy axis. Then the other edge which is formed by the wall on your left hand side and the floor, वो वाला edge आपका z axis है. So again, that edge and this vertical edge are perpendicular to each other. Yeah, Tej will come to that later. That is determined by the right hand palm rule. Okay, but right now it is just enough for you to know that they are mutually perpendicular. So this is the convention you follow, है ना? That if you take the origin as your front left corner, then the edge on the floor in front of you, that is your x-axis. The edge that is going vertically to your left, that is your y-axis, and the other edge between the floor and the wall on your left, that becomes your z-axis. So that is the convention that we follow. Okay, so you're able to visualize this. Now I'll give you another method of visualizing the mutually perpendicular axis. This will also help you, picture the three-dimensional system. So another visualization of mutually perpendicular x, y, z axis. So this time, imagine that we have a cuboidal box. Okay. Okay, so we have a cuboid like this. Now next what we are doing is any one of the corners of your cuboid, like this corner here, you are defining that as your origin. Okay. So then you define this edge as your x-axis. You define this edge as your y-axis. Okay. And you define this edge as your z-axis. So you can see that they are mutually perpendicular. Okay. And once again, you can understand that you have the three planes which are mutually perpendicular. This plane here, this is your xz plane. This plane in front, this is your xy plane. And this plane to the side over here, this is your yz plane. So those are the three mutually perpendicular planes. They have to be just mutually perpendicular. They can be any ones, but they have to be mutually perpendicular. Okay. So x, y, and z are mutually perpendicular axes. We can take them in any order. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. There is a convention which is called the right-handed convention. We will discuss about that later also. But for right now, you just remember this standard diagram. Just remember this standard diagram that if this is the room in which you're sitting and the XY plane is the wall that you're seeing in front of you, then this edge, which is in front of you on the floor, that is your x-axis. This edge, which is to your left-hand side, on the floor, that is your z-axis, and the vertical corner is your y-axis. Just remember this like a convention for now. I'll explain how to orient otherwise. Okay. So now that we have learned to visualize this, now we define the unit vectors, the base unit vectors again over here. So next, in three-dimensional system, the base vectors or the standard unit vectors, we have one extra one now. They are I cap, j cap, and the third one is given the symbol k cap. This is the unit vector along the z axis. Just like this is the unit vector along the x axis. So there are now three unit vectors, three base unit vectors. Yeah, they are any three mutually perpendicular axis states. So x and y axis you can consider anyhow, as long as they are perpendicular. Z will be the one which is mutually perpendicular to them. But the particular direction of Z, whether it is coming out or going in, that is determined by something called right-hand convention, which we will discuss later. No, it's not really hard. Yes, three-dimensional component algebra is very similar to 2D. Just one extra term is there, the k-cap term. Okay. So now in 3D system, any vector is represented in this way. base unit vectors, standard unit vectors, or base vectors. They are I cap, j cap, and k cap. These three are called the base vectors. Okay. So now any vector is represented in component form like this. It's represented like this. These are scalars. They can be negative, positive, or zero. Okay. So for example, we can have a vector which is two I cap plus j cap minus 3k cap. So here ax is plus 2, ay is plus 1, and az is minus 3. Similarly, we can have a vector, let's say 3 I cap plus 2 k cap. So in this case, what is happening? B's x component is plus 3, B's y component is 0, and B's z component is plus 2. So there can be any scalars which are positive, negative, or 0. So this is how we represent a vector in three-dimensional component form. Yeah, so that's the next thing we'll understand, the visualization of this vector. That is why we spent some time understanding the three-dimensional coordinate system in visualization. We can't draw a graph, because graph is two-dimensional, but we can draw a geometrical shape which is three-dimensional. So next up, let us understand visualizing a vector in three dimensions. Okay. For example, let's say I have a vector E, which is, let's say 3 I cap plus 4 j cap plus 12 k cap. Suppose I have this vector. Okay. So let's start by making the axis. My standard diagram, if these are the axes, so this is this plane. This is the YZ plane. This is the ZX plane. Okay, so in this, let us first individually write out these quantities. So AX is equal to 3. So the X component AX I cap is 3 I cap. So let's understand in this diagram where that is. So just forget about the rest of the vector. Just concentrate on this. ये 3 I cap कहाँ पे है? It's a vector like this. This is my vector 3 I cap. Now similarly, the Y component in my example is plus 4. So the This is 4j cap. So in my diagram, where will that be now? My diagram, if I draw it from the origin, it will be this. Be 4j cap. And similarly 12k cap now. This is my z component of the vector. So coming back to the diagram, that will look like an arrow starting from the origin is along the z axis, and its magnitude is 12 units. So this is your 12k cap. Now what is the vector E itself? So having understood this, now let's try to understand what is the vector E. So to understand the vector E, okay, E is the sum of that 3i cap plus 4j cap plus 12k cap, or axi cap plus ayj cap plus azk cap. So to understand the vector E, now what we'll do is we will draw this thing, uh, cuboid, whose this side is 3 units. Okay. This side is 4 units. This will probably look a bit longer. And this side is quite a bit longer. It's like this, let's say. Twelve units. Now we'll just finish a couple of minutes more. Okay. So now we just let me make this smaller so it's easier for me to draw. So something like this. Okay. So again, in my cuboid, I will consider this point as my origin. I'll consider this to be my x-axis. Okay. This to be my y-axis, and this to be my z-axis. 。  . 。 . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . So see, what is my x component again? It's this vector. This vector of magnitude 3. What is my y component again? It is this vector of magnitude 4. And what is my z component again? Okay, no problem, Hitanshu. You can pick up the recording later. Okay. So these are becoming my individual vectors, 3 I cap plus 4 j cap plus this thing, 12 k cap. But now see, I want to construct this vector. No? I want to construct 3 I cap plus 4 j cap plus z k, 12 k cap, this one. So starting from the x axis, I will first make a displacement of 3 I cap and I'll reach here. So I will reach the point OA. Oh, sorry, this point, let's say, is this corner is A. So you can see that the vector OA is my 3 I cap. Now next what I want to do, from that point, I want to add 4 j cap. So from the point A, I have to go 4 j cap. So 4 j cap is this vector, but only now I have to draw it from this point. You understanding? I don't have to draw it from the origin because I'm adding this vector 3 I cap plus this vector now 4 j cap. So I have to make a displacement of 4 j cap from here. So when I add 4 j cap to this, I'll reach this point here, B, let's say. Okay. So my vector AB is nothing but 4 j cap. No, because you can see that this vector 4 j cap is the same as this vector here. Okay. And then I'm doing what? I'm adding 12 k cap to this. So 12 k cap was this vector, but where I'm going from B. So from the vector B, I have to make a displacement of 12, but along which direction? Along the z axis. So when I do that, मैं कहाँ पे पहुँचूंगा? I will reach from B. I'll have to draw an arrow parallel to this one, 12 in length. So I'll reach this point here. So I'll reach this corner. Let's say this corner is C. C is not a vector. Okay. So this is my 12 k cap. The same vector is here. So BC is becoming 12 k cap. So now what is my vector A? It is OA plus AB plus BC. So I'm going from O to the point A to the point B to the point C. So it is overall the vector OC. So this is my vector now. So in this diagram, the resultant vector will become this. From the origin to this one, which is basically what? It is the body diagonal of this cuboid. This vector here will be nothing but the vector E. You can see. So this, which is this, it is the body diagonal of the cuboid of sides or whatever that AX is. In this case, it is so that is the visualization of a vector in 3D. Understood? So when we write a vector as AXI cap plus AY j cap plus AZ k cap, what is the easiest way to visualize that vector? Just imagine you drawn a cuboid जिसके जो perpendicular वाले edges हैं वो कितने के हैं? AX, AY and AZ के हैं. So ऐसे cuboid का जो भी आपका body diagonal हो जाएगा, that is nothing but the vector A, which has the three components AX I cap, AY j cap and AZ k cap. You understood the point? So that is the visualization, that it is the body diagonal. A three-dimensional vector like this, it is like the body diagonal of a cuboid of mutually perpendicular sides 3, 4 and 12. So from this we'll see another thing. The magnitude of it is the length of the body diagonal. Okay. So yes, in this case, the magnitude of A you will see will become 13. It will be root of ax square plus ay square plus az square. So this becomes the general formula. In this particular case, it will become root of 9 plus 16 plus 144. So that is root 169, or it will be 13. So a cuboid which has sides 3, 4 and 12 in fact has a body diagonal of 13. Okay, so this is the next factual thing we should know about any vector. For a vector A which has components Ax, the magnitude is given by this formula, which is nothing but length of the body diagonal. So it comes from geometry. In geometry, you know that the length of the body diagonal is square root of L square plus B square plus D square. Okay. So this formula is directly coming from geometry. Yes, we have to connect that way. Okay. So you'll also see one thing, that we could have gone in any order. No? So basically 3 I cap plus 4 J cap plus 12 K cap would have been the same thing had we gone 12 I cap first. No? So just follow my cursor. So if I went in a different order, 12 I cap plus 4J cap plus 3K cap, sorry, 3 I cap, I would still reach here. Or if I went 4J cap plus 3 I cap plus 12K cap, or 4J cap plus 12K cap plus 3 I cap, कोई भी order में जाऊंगा मैं, it will be the same, because vector addition, as you know, is commutative. Yeah, there will be angles and stuff, we will discuss more about that, but before that there is addition and subtraction. So the next thing we'll see is very simple, how to add and subtract the same way we did for two-dimensional vectors. The same way here also, you take your I cap, J cap, and this time K cap also common. So we'll just wind up with this last thing now. Addition and subtraction in 2 dimensions, sorry, in 3 dimensions, it's absolutely same, no difference in how we do the algebra. So A plus B will become the sum of the x components plus the sum of the y components so ay plus by plus the sum of the z components az plus bz. Okay. And similarly, if we were doing a minus b, it would be ax minus bx I cap plus ay minus by plus az minus bz. So let's just wind up with an example. So suppose we have vectors A like this, okay, and we have vector B and we have vector C. Now we want to find A plus B and magnitude of A plus B. Okay. And we want to find A plus B, excuse me, and mod of A plus B minus C. So just take this down and then try this question out. Yeah, I'll be sending the notes, don't worry. Okay, so that's okay, Tej. If I'll be sending the recording to everybody, so don't worry. So this example, the first thing, A plus B जब हम calculate करते हैं, so we have to just use this formula. So it becomes 1 plus 2 becomes the x component. Then 2 minus 3 becomes the y component. And minus 1 plus 1 becomes the z component. So A plus B, just check your answers. It will be 3i cap minus j cap. You're getting this? Okay. And therefore mod of A plus B will just become square root of 3 square plus 1 square. So root 10. So this is the answer to the first part. Now similarly the second part ऐसा हो जाएगा A plus B minus C. So we have to do AX plus BX minus CX. Now C's X component itself is minus 1. Okay, so this whole thing will become the X component. Then similarly, AY, that is 2 plus BY, which is minus 3 minus CY, which is 2 J cap. Okay, and then AZ, which is minus 1 plus BZ, which is plus 1 minus CZ, which is again plus 1 K cap. So this will become how much now? So A plus B plus C in component form will become 1 plus 2 plus 2. So that is 4i cap. Okay. Then 2 minus 3 minus 2. So that is minus 3j cap. Correct. And minus 1 plus 1 minus 1. So minus k cap. That's correct. Yeah, good. And therefore, so this is the vector form. And therefore the component, therefore the magnitude will become square root of x component square plus y component square plus z component square. So that is square root of 26. So it's very easy, as you can see. It is just like, so implementation in 3D is very much like implementation in 2D. nothing very difficult. Okay. So people, with this, we conclude today's lectures. I'll send you the notes and also assignment 5. Assignment 5 has mostly revision kind of applications of component algebra, and also a couple of questions on the 3-dimensional components. So try that out, and best of luck for the test coming up. That's it for today, people.